This video discusses the possibility that Israel may not receive American aid, which may force it to look at other options. It also discusses other hot spots such as the South China Sea, which could trigger the Third World War. Hello friends, this is Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini, where I provide unique analysis of world events based on the unmasked truth that after surrender, Germany continued World War II clandestinely and became a killing machine. I also provide true news that you will find nowhere else. It seems that the US Congress has reached an impasse over aid funding for Ukraine in its war with Russia and for Israel in its war with Hamas. President Biden has requested a $106 billion aid package for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, but does not want the package to be linked with border security policies to address immigration problems. The Republicans are pursuing tough asylum, parole, and detention policies, which they claim are less than they want, but the Democrats claim are much further than they are willing to go. The House Republicans have refused to budge. Hence, aid for Ukraine, Israel, and border funding is held up. Ukraine and Israel rely mainly on the United States for funding, but let's not be under any illusion. Ukraine is fighting the war on behalf of Germany because it had agreed to install German nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons to be used against Russia. German officers and soldiers are fighting alongside Ukrainian officers and soldiers inside Russia. Germany will provide enough support to Ukraine at the very least to maintain a stalemate rather than allow Russia to conquer Ukraine. Germany will provide as little support to Ukraine as possible as long as others like the USA, Britain, France, and the rest of Europe are providing aid and footing the bill. But if those sources dry up, it will provide as much aid to Ukraine as necessary. Israel, on the other hand, relies entirely on aid from the United States. Israel may be forced to turn to other sources as the continued flow of aid from the US may be halted, especially if the war is escalated by other Iranian proxies in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen. Israel simply will be unable to meet all these threats simultaneously on its own. Under such circumstances, German led Europe may provide an alternative to the United States by offering to protect Israel and guarantee peace in the region, as described in my video of December 4, 2023, titled World War Watch, Hamas-Israel War Resumes at Iran's Urging. China Downs US Osprey. To me, it seems German masqueraders in the United States government and Congress are forcing Israel to look at alternatives and drive the country into the arms of waiting Germany and Europe. At present, it seems that the impasse in Congress for additional aid funding will likely continue. As stated in my video, the involvement of all Iranian proxies and others if they get involved, the conflict will be impossible for Israel to handle. With the USA constantly pressuring Israel to avoid civilian casualties and even aid now doubtful while it is prosecuting a war, Israel may conclude that it may not be able to rely on the US government under the effective control of German masqueraders. It may feel compelled to consider other offers to help, such as from Europe, headed by Germany, to deal with all these adversaries and as guarantors of peace. Germany may then agree to send forces to guarantee peace. Hamas will capitulate because the Palestinians have always been allied with Germany. Germany may attack Iranian proxies in Iraq and Syria, who will likely surrender quickly and be conquered. The Houthis may be similarly attacked and will likely be subdued quickly. Germany will also deal with Iran based on its response. Thus, Europe will have conquered the region and brought peace to Israel. To guarantee peace between the Israelis and Palestinians, Germany will likely negotiate the presence of German forces in Jerusalem and Israel. That scenario is predicted by Gerald Flurry head of the Philadelphia Church of God, based on the sequence of end time events according to the church's understanding of the in the days of Mr. Herbert W. Armstrong, through whom God founded the modern era of his church. Germans and German masqueraders rely on interpretations of prophecy made by Gerald Flurry. I'm watching the aid negotiations in the US Congress very closely and any news of discussions between Israel and German led Europe. Another hot spot worth watching is the South China Sea, with China harassing Philippines by preventing the country from exercising its legitimate right in its exclusive economic zone. The South China Sea is probably the most contested waterway in the world, which has the world's busiest shipping lanes through which about $3 trillion of trade passes annually. China, Taiwan, Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei all have competing claims there. However, China lays claim to the entire South China Sea within a fantasy 9-dash line it shows on its maps, which the Permanent Court of Arbitration at The Hague struck down in 2016. Atlantic.com reported that the Philippines has complained that Chinese Coast Guard and naval forces menace its sailors and fishermen on an almost daily basis. The Philippines government has started circulating videos, photos, and eyewitness accounts of these encounters. For example, in late October 2023, the country's officials released footage of Chinese vessels twice colliding with Philippines ships. Philippines authorities have stated that China keeps pressuring the Philippines day by day. According to the Philippines officials, on a given day, about 400 Chinese vessels and another 100 Vietnamese boats come within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone or territorial waters. Philippines President Marcos has invited the United States to expand its military presence in the Philippines and appeared at joint exercises earlier in 2023. In late November 2023, the Philippines and United States launched 3 days of joint maritime and aerial patrols in the South China Sea. Early in 2023, a former high-ranking Chinese military official stated that war between the United States and China was more likely to start in the South China Sea than around Taiwan. Here is my assessment of one likely scenario for start of the Third World War. I don't think it will be instigated by China around Taiwan or the South China Sea. The Ukraine-Russia conflict will also likely not widen to start the Third World War. According to my understanding of prophecy, the Hamas-Israel war will first expand by Iran's proxies launching continuous attacks against Israel. To bring peace and guarantee peace in the region, Israel may be forced to seek Europe and Germany's help. This will lead to Germany's intervention. That is my guess on how the World War will likely start. Again, this is just a guess because other scenarios are possible. Once Germany and Europe start the war, German masqueraders will likely start a deadly civil war in the United States, while simultaneously China starts conflict in the South China Sea to stop commercial shipping. Its allies in Africa will probably stop African, British, and Israeli ships from passing through the Red Sea. Effectively, United States, British Commonwealth nations, and Israel, that is UBI nations, will be subjected to an economic siege. When the civil war and economic sieges have sufficiently weakened the UBI nations, Germany, China, and their other allies will attack them. It is unlikely that the Ukraine-Russia conflict will start the Third World War, though the war could become a part of the Third World War, as China and Germany might be tempted to annex some Russian energy and mineral assets. In my previous videos, I have described that North India and its Punjab state could be a trigger for start of the Third World War. In my December 4, 2023 video titled World War Watch: Who is Behind the Plot to Assassinate Sikh Leaders, I would like to first provide an informational update. I call the update informational because it is unlikely to have any additional impact on what is already happening. In that video, I described the indictment of Nikhil Gupta, an Indian citizen, by US federal authorities for plotting to assassinate 4 to 5 Sikh leaders globally. It should have been a given that I would be one of those targeted for assassination. It stands to reason that Baniyas like Nikhil Gupta would want me dead because I have delivered God's message concerning the Baniyas that they are to be utterly destroyed. Therefore, it would not take much to convince them to make attempts on my life if they are already plotting to assassinate other Sikh leaders globally. In fact, I would be on top of the list. I can confirm that is in fact the case. But I call this update purely informational because German masqueraders have already been using others, such as German masqueraders, African Americans, Palestinians, and others, to assassinate me for decades. In fact, attempts on my life are made on a weekly basis. So, adding just more people to the list of those attempting to kill me has no impact on what is already happening. I also reiterated in that video that South Indians are now taking the lead from all other Indians to assassinate Sikhs worldwide with the ultimate goal of destroying them. It seems that the leaders of this conspiracy with Germans and German masqueraders are the Tamil Brahmins who call themselves Tambrams. I have seen some of them proudly declare with swagger that they are Tambrams. While the leaders may be Tamil Brahmins, all of South India is part of the conspiracy against the Sikhs, along with other Indians such as the Bengalis, Baniyas, Rajputs, Gujaratis, Parsis, and Pathans of India. After the indictment and likely soon coming extradition of Nikhil Gupta to the United States and the discovery of the plot to assassinate Sikh leaders globally, will South Indians continue their efforts to carry out the plot? South Indians are ambitious and a determined bunch. They will likely continue their efforts, but retaliation against them will probably stop the efforts. The value of the South Indians to the Germans and Chinese lies in their control of nuclear weapons, missiles, and all defense manufacturing facilities in India and their very high representation in the military services. They are capable of making attempts to carry out their agreement to destroy the Sikhs and Punjabis after the start of the Third World War. Since I am on the subject of South Indians and Brahmins from the South Indian state of Tamil Nadu, I would like to comment on a prominent Tambram, Vivek Ramaswamy, a Republican presidential candidate. Ramaswamy's reported net worth is about $950 million. South Indians being allies of German masqueraders, a person does not acquire that kind of net worth through sheer brilliance. He had masquerader support after he met the hurdle qualification of murdering a white adult and a child of non-German ancestry. I would not Americans to have Vivek Ramaswamy as their president and would advise him to get out of American politics. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please continue to watch my videos on important world events, World War III watch, politics, international business, how Bible prophecy is playing an important role in world affairs, advice on health and medical problems, and much more for in-depth and insightful analysis. Please also subscribe to my YouTube and Facebook channels Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini to view and get information on the latest videos.